Okay, welcome back to another OCR GCSE Business Revision for Year 1 or Year 10. We're still in Human Resources, and this time we're looking at motivation and retention and training and development. So let's get started. So, key topic here, motivation and retention. Retention is a new-ish topic in itself, added to the syllabus when it was redesigned. Motivation has always been there, and retention has been a part of it. But now it's actually a named thing. So you could get a question on how you retain your workers. So it's important to understand the link between motivation and retention. When it comes to motivation, it's split into two strands. You've got financial methods and non-financial methods. And again, as we've said in previous videos, make sure you understand the fact that there are only 4 financial methods and 3 non-financial methods mentioned in the OCR syllabus. There may be other methods. You may find other methods online in other books and so on, but you just have to focus on these 4 and 3. Okay, so relatively straightforward. Basically paying your workers is a way of motivating them. We want to put it in a motivating context. So using something like a commission, which encourages you to sell more, or using something like a time rate, which encourages you to spend more time at work, or a piece rate to produce more items. They are motivating your workers. Okay. You've then got the use of a bonus. Again, fairly easy to understand that if you do something, you'll get paid a bonus. So there's the motivation. Fringe benefits, a little bit more difficult to get your head round, but they have a monetary value and they're paid on top of your wage. And it doesn't have to be money. So it could be something like a company car or the use of a laptop that you then obviously don't have to buy yourself. So just remember that they classify themselves as financial methods because they will have a financial benefit in that you don't have to pay for it. And then finally, you've got profit sharing. Um, Profit sharing can go throughout the whole organization, although you might find that it tends to be used more with management because they essentially get a share of the profits from the decisions that they've made. So it encourages them to help the business make lots of profit, so they then in turn earn more money. You've then got the non-financial methods. Now, yeah, okay, there might be a small cost involved for the business, but generally these are not about the financial things that are available. So you've got praise, telling people that they've done well and rewarding them for that in some way, linked through to award schemes, something like Employee of the Month. Um, and then you've got the general working environment. Now, again, this might cost the business money, but it's not a direct cost to with the employees. But it could be, you know, having good furniture. It could be having those extra things at work, like subsidised meals and so on. And just making the working environment a nice place to be, so therefore people want to turn up. And as I said, there's a link here with retention, because if you get all of this right, then chances are you will then keep your workers. So the benefit of highly motivated workers is not just about retention. You also get high worker productivity. They will work better and harder for you. You get more out of them. They also need to be supervised less. If a worker is motivated, they will get on with their job, so therefore they don't need to be watched constantly. The low absenteeism is linked to people calling in sick. So if people are motivated and they like working there, then they generally don't call in sick. And that obviously helps because you don't have to cover them. And you may get improved quality of your products because, again, a motivated worker is going to want to produce the best products possible, especially if they're getting paid based on those products. So they may end up, you may see an overall improvement in the quality of your products. Okay. Um, when it comes to retention, what you're trying to do is reduce labour turnover. Now, labour turnover is how many people you have to keep replacing in the year. Now, in most cases, we do want to reduce labour turnover because we want to keep loyal employees. But please remember as well, there are some circumstances where actually you might have a high labour turnover because you use seasonal workers. So actually, you don't want to keep them. You want to employ them for maybe a month or two, and then you are letting them go, and that's part of their contract. So again, just be careful. Yes, we generally want to retain our workers, but again, look at the case study and look at the situation that is going on in that business. Okay, training and development. Well, training focuses mainly on these three areas: induction, on the job, and off the job training. Induction training is all to do when you first start your new job. Think about the induction you had when you were in year six, when you came up to the school and you got to look around and see what was going on. Well, it's the same with a business when you start a new job. In that first day, you might get half a day where you get an induction, where you're shown around the business. You might be do some training, etc., related to the business and the job. You find out what their objectives are, and all of the stuff that's kind of the bigger picture training happens at induction, and that's going to help that employee feel that they're settled in. They'll know where the toilets are, they know where the canteen is, they know all the procedures in the business. So it helps them feel more settled, and obviously from the business's point of view, it means that that worker can get straight on without any delay, really. The on and off the job training are more training to do with your specific role. So on the job training, as the name implies, happens while you are doing your job. Someone shows you what to do while you are learning how to do the job. Think about it, sometimes in the supermarkets, you'll see someone being trained with a more experienced person sat behind them or stood behind them at the till showing them what to do. It's a lot easier for the business to do that, although obviously it wastes a bit of time while you've got someone training to have the expert showing them what to do. You've then got off the job training. Now, this, as the name implies, happens away from the job, off the job. So, from the business's point of view, yes, the training's happening, but work is not happening. They've gone away to do this. And when they go away, whether it's to a college or whether it's to some sort of meeting, training event, it will take the form of maybe a lecture or a demonstration. It could be team building. More and more these days, we're getting e-learning, which then actually happens in their own time and might be at home, or it might happen at work in a room somewhere else, but it's done remotely. Or it could be using a role play. That's especially good for things like customer service training, when you want people to experience the most common kind of things they'll come up against. So, why do we want to train people? Well, we've got a number of points here. Um, that we could go through and talk about. So we want to introduce new recruits to the business. That's your induction training. Okay. We might need to give them technical skills. So they actually need to be shown how to use a piece of machinery or so on. They might need to develop their personal skills, things like communication and team working and so on. You might need to inform workers of something. So it might be a change that's happening. So that training, it's called training, but actually you're talking to all of the workers about something big. You might be needing to teach them how to manage people, okay, for group work and so on like that, and teach them how to work as a group. So you might take 4 or 5 employees away, and get them working together, especially if they're a new group of employees. You might need to tell workers about new products, so you have training sessions on those products and how they're made, and how they're going to sell, and so on. Or you might be training your workers to be flexible so they can work in different parts of the business. So you're building up their skill set. And ultimately, you may be retraining workers. Maybe you've had to close down part of your business and you're moving workers around instead of making them redundant. So therefore, you're retraining them to work in a separate part of the business. So they'll be the main reasons why we want to train. But what would be the benefits of this? Well, you get improved productivity. We've talked about that with motivation as well. So you see people working longer and harder, and you get more out of them. You could see an improvement in the quality of the goods. Again, once you've trained people, they should do things better, and that will help with that. It could help the growth and development of the firm, especially if we're bringing in new recruits, giving them those skills, and then getting them working together. Hopefully, that would help the business as it grows in size. It could solve a skill shortage, simply training people, especially to be more flexible, or retraining workers, means that you don't have to hire from outside the organisation for those skill shortages. Obviously, there's a clear link between motivation and retention and training and development. If you're showing an interest in training people, then that also shows that you're trying to motivate them as well. And it could mean that goods are produced more safely. It has links to that side of the business. You're then going to get less complaints from customers. You're going to not have employees hurt or harmed in any way. Now, that mainly focuses on the training side of it. Development is more of a long-term thing. So training could be fairly short-term, meet the immediate needs of the business, whereas development part is a longer-term process. Two main things you have to focus on and know about are apprenticeships and professional development. Now, they are similar, but slightly different. So I've tried to put them side by side so you can compare, and at least then that will help with any recommendations you have to make. So an apprenticeship is a long-term program. It can go over 2, 3, or 4 years, and you are employed to learn on the job, so to speak. You ultimately get a qualification that can be a level 2, a level 3 qualification, um, and what you get are skills related to a specific job. So you might do an apprenticeship to be a plumber or an accountant, and obviously you learn everything to do with that type of job. It's available over 3 levels. Level 2 and level 3 are GCSE and A level, and you can now get degree level apprenticeships at levels 4 and 5. So you've got different levels of apprenticeship depending on your qualifications. And it's part college, part work based. So you might have 1 or 2 days at college where you learn all of the theory and you do your assignments, and then you'll be working, 3 or 4 days at your actual job where you'll be putting what you've learned into practice. Okay. Now, if we compare that with professional development, this is still a long-term thing and it can happen over 2 or more years. You still may get a professional qualification, but unlike the apprenticeship, which is a general qualification like a BTEC perhaps, this is a professional qualification. So you might have, the professional qualifications for accountants, um, or professional qualification for builders and plumbers and so on. Now, unlike the apprenticeship, which is for a specific job, this is just your general education. You are just generally more educated from doing this. It's not anything more than that. It's available to all workers, so it could be people on the shop floor all the way through to management at different points in their career. It's supposed to be used as a motivating tool in that respect. And again, it can be completed at college or online, a bit, part time each way, but it's normally trying to work around the job that you have, as opposed to the apprenticeship where it's deliberately done that you spend a couple of days at college. So these two developmental approaches, okay, you're more likely to be on apprenticeship if you're just starting a business and you're fairly young, whereas the professional development, although it's open to everyone, the professional development tends to be for people who opt into it. It's not necessarily compulsory. You might decide that you want to do a management course or something like that, and then the business will help you do that. Okay, but think again how these fit into motivation and so on to help retain the workers and motivate the workers alongside the actual development of them as they go along. So think about the benefits to the employees and the benefits to the business. Again, get that very clear from the question. Okay, staff want to develop their skills, they'll gain a qualification and they're paid while they develop. They may even gain a promotion. Whereas the benefits to the business is they have a motivated workforce, they improve their retention, it helps meets the future needs of the organisation and helps with recruitment, and ultimately overcomes a skill shortage.